getting started with the top end kit. We got this kit from Cylinder Works, and it comes with the piston and jug for the top end, along with the gaskets. Referring back to the service manual, here's another blown up image of basically the portion of the build that we're on right now, and then you can scroll through and it's going to tell you every single spec for the setup, as far as the bore size, cylinder wall to piston, clearance, your ring gap. I mean, every little spec. These tolerances are really tight, so if you want to check every little spec on each part of your engine, how you're doing it, this is exactly what they're looking at from the factory. Alright, so Shane and I have figured out how we're going to do this ring gap on this here cylinder, and we decided to read the directions and figure out what is actually supposed to happen.
Go ahead and cut that ring.
So what we have come up with, by doing a little reading, we got the minimum ring gap per inch right here, and we've basically done the math on the smaller end of that. I think the bore size came into just under 4 inches, and we did the math on it coming to 16 thousandths. So that's what we're gonna file this ring for. So we made this socket with the window in it to allow us to push down on the valve retainer to pull the keepers out, and I'm going to show you how to do that here in a second. So you end up putting the C-clamp right there on the bottom of the valve, and then you allow the socket to push down on the valve retainer. Once you get a little bit of pressure on it, enough to get those keepers out, this one looks a little cleaner than the last one. Looks pretty good. So over time, what ends up happening is where this valve hits the seat on the head, it starts digging into this. So instead of having that tapered edge on there, it starts making a boxy shape. It starts cutting down on the valve, which will in turn put that into the head as well. So what I ended up finding was just a little rubber like tube cover, and then a straw that fit the outside of that diameter there. So I ended up sliding that on the valve on this top side. And then the straw fits snugly around that. I'm just going to hit these very lightly. So I got one of these exhaust valves out. It's looking a little bit dirtier, obviously, than the intake side. But I took a straight edge. I took a razor blade to the edge of the valve right here, and it's still square. you know, still flat across that surface. So these aren't bad or are worn like I was talking about. So we're gonna run them, but we are gonna lap these two as well. Just got a little bit of carbon buildup on the end there. That's a cleaned up surface on the exhaust valve there, so it definitely looks a lot better. Right here, when I'm using the needle nose pliers down inside the head, I'm pulling the old valve seals out and replacing them with new ones. First shot? What? That'll never happen again. It's got a little poop on it. Still not horrible though. Alright, so I'm getting ready to put the shims in it, and I'm looking at the original ones to kind of go off of and figure out what sizes I'm going to roll with. So the way that the head's set up here, we got the intake valves and we got the exhaust valves here. We ended up going with the hot cams, the shim kit, and here are the original. So the way that the engine's sitting, or the head's sitting, from left to right, we got 189 here, got a 194 and a 190, and then on the exhaust side we have the 185 and also a 185. Alright, so on the intake valve, or intake valves, they want it between 4 and 6 thousandths. I got the 4,000th shim out right now, and we're getting close, but it's not quite there yet. So we're just fitting with it not being torqued down completely at the minimum clearance. I think I'm gonna go ahead and go down one more set and then torque it down and see what we got. Feels about right. So I think we ended up going with a 170, 170, and 175. And it was a 189, 194, and a 190 originally. So 9 thou shim's a little tight, 8 thou fits pretty good. So we're gonna leave it at that. Being on the outer range also on that one. Actually about right in the middle for that. Alright, today we're back on the YFZ 450 rebuild. And we're getting ready to put the head on. We just got done lapping the valves. I got the piston sitting at top dead center, and how you do that is you pull the cover off the crankshaft bolt here, and you also pull this cover off, and if you can see there's a little round notch right there in the side of the case. So inside there you line that up with there's a mark on the generator, the side of the generator there on the inside. I'm not sure if you could see that, probably not. But there's a mark there, maybe this light will help. Oh. And so on the paperwork here in my computer, it's showing you the line on the generator on the inside there, basically telling you where your top dead center is, and the mark on the case. Also, once we put the head on and torque it down, we're gonna line up these marks on the cams, on the cam gears here, opposite of each other, just like it shows in that image, to get the timing set with the head and engine all as one. You're gonna end up having to pull the cams out to get the other two bolts in right here. Right here I ended up running the head bolts up and down a few times. I put some ARP torque assembly lube on them. Wanted to make sure that it was all the way up and down the full length of the threads. And here I was marking each bolt with the marker, because after you do the first couple steps of torque spec, you need to do a degree, which I believe was 45 degrees on one pass and another 45 degrees on the second pass, if I'm not mistaken. All right, I think we're good. So it took some playing with, but after some time and effort, I ended up getting them lined up. I think we're all set. So what we have is, you got your timing mark here on the camshaft for the exhaust side. And then we got our mark here for our camshaft on our intake side. I know there's a dot up top here too. I referenced that to the instructions here, and it looks like there's a dot there and a dot there, just how I have them on my engine. And then also made sure that we spun the crank, and the little notch that's inside there is lining up with that rounded hole right there. So I think we're in good shape. Alright, so installing timing chain tensioner. We got it's marked up right here. And you take a small screwdriver flathead, and there's a screw inside here after I already took off the small screw that covers that hole. And you're supposed to put a little pressure on this with your finger. And as you tighten it, there's a spring in there, but get it to go all the way down, and it should sit in the closed position. Now you should be able to put this screw on the screwdriver. Oh, there it goes. It sprung open. So yeah, as soon as I let go, put the screwdriver in there on the flathead set screw, you could feel it spring that little plunger out and push on the timing chain guide, and then now timing chain's tight.